Toys, 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 manly toys, 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 toys,
and TV and movies too. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is the Toy Duo team, and we come to you every Saturday at noon talking about action figures, toys, and movies, and all kinds of stuff. This week we have with us Darren from Whiskey Jack Toys, who are the makers of Legends of the Hidden Force. We, of course, have John down here. He says Johnerville. Rick Poole talked me into this. Then we got Rick from Left Coast Graphics versus Johnerville. Oh, they're fighting. And then just Dan. Look, I'm backwards.
He's over there
every week. And Dan's here too. So, normally what we do is we do pickups. We talk about stuff that we want to brag about that we got in our collection. That's how we normally start the show. Then we talk about movies and shows. I think we've been talking about Star Wars ACOLYTE the last couple of weeks, just because Rick does not talk about it enough during his after show. But this week we're going to kind of skip a lot of that because we want to give Darren a lot of airtime and talk about the toys you guys are making because they look pretty awesome. John met you over at Joe Fest, and we thank you for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
We did cover your Legends of the Hidden Force during the Kickstarter campaign a while back.
That's right.
Um,
And we were really impressed. John, did you end up ordering those?
I did get one figure. I think I got one of the ninja guys, like was he blue, dressed in blue or something? Yeah.
Shinobi.
One of the generic ninja shinobi guys. Yeah, just because I figured if I couldn't get any more, he could still fit in with Cobra somehow.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole intent. Actually, that was the whole purpose behind that figure. So yeah.
That's awesome. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, what we like to do is always, because the chat is the integral part of the show. I mean, we wouldn't really have a show if people didn't show up to watch. So Gap is here saying hello. You got G-Force is here. David R is here. Jonathan Redmond, Mr. B, Jumpy McClunky, Gerard Kane. I'm trying to keep up with you, Dan. Sunny Sundry says, woken up early once again. It's all the way down in Australia. I think
it's burn click mode here.
It's like 4 a.m. or something like that there.
Yeah. What time is it, Sonny? He's in Australia.
Wow.
Let's see. Everybody's saying good morning to everybody. Who else? Do we say
Gerard?
Oh, yeah, Gerard Kane.
Gerard.
I think that was it.
Gap. Okay. All right. So far,
PP, Gap. Yeah, they're all saying hi.
I know there's a few more people out there, but people are being shy. Don't be shy. Comment, ask questions.
He said it's 3 a.m. Look at him. That's dedication.
He changed the time. Last week it was 4.
He sets his alarm.
All right.
Look at Gap. Gap says John and Rick better not talk too much so we can give more Darren more airtime.
John and Rick, yeah. Don't interrupt each other. So we do a lot of this, like talking over each other on the show. Like
no, we don't.
We talking over Rick and John because they don't take a breath between their 10,000 sentences. Darren, how long have you been in the toy business?
About 10 years.
Wow.
All of it self-made though. Like none of it professionally, or I guess varying degrees of however you want to see that. Nice. Probably really quickly, probably just over 10 years ago, Marauder John hadn't come out with a full accessory line yet. He was actually trying to do an action figure line. And it was supposed to be they were somewhat generic, sort of what he's ended up doing now, but they were somewhat generic with the idea that you could fit them into whatever toy line you wanted to fit them into. And I got involved in that as a minor partner. And unfortunately, we lost our shirts on it. The factory took our money and just went away. And we lost everything, including all the prototypes and all the everything. And we just called it a day. And then John decided to start over again from a smaller scale with just accessories. And I was like, no, I'm determined. I'm going to make action figures. And so, from there, I put the word out to a couple of friends that knew a couple of people, and Black Major was in the process of getting out of the business, as he said. And so I bought the Black Major business, which was all of his molds, all of his everything, and he retired. And so then it took me a while to get enough financing together to do some production runs. And then I came out as Red Laser's Army. I didn't want to do Black Major. That was his thing. And I've had a whole new direction for it. So I did that for a few years, and then called it a day, because you can only go third party for so long before you've got all these. If you actually look at all the third Red Laser stuff in the last year of stuff that I came up with, everything was a unique character. I was just like, why am I making all these characters in other in somebody else's sandbox? I should just start making my own toy lines. I think now is the time. So yeah. Over the last few years, I've all the people that really I've solidified with over the years. I sort of made different deals with everybody. So Whiskey Jack is the toy company. It's me. I'm Whiskey Jack Toys. And then in various lines, sometimes it's just me, like in Chaos, that's just me. But other times where like Hidden Force, that's Matt and Chad and I. And Matt and Chad did most of my design work for all my figures. And then Impact, which is coming up, is me and Allman. And Allman is, aside from being my lawyer, my legal representation, he's also the financier for some of the stuff I've done in the past. So that's our line. And then Eagle Force I'm doing with Bill Murphy, of course. And then there's many more to come, but I don't want to overwhelm people. So we're just going to talk about those four for now.
Sounds like
Very
a
good.
plate full.
Yeah.
So I am curious, like you said you bought all the stuff from Black Major that was molds and stuff like that. So when you design a figure, is it like digitally designed before like it goes to
I mean all of those were just third party. Like they were all effectively just copies of old figures, and that had expired trademarks and expired copyrights. And so he was taking advantage of that. And so did I to some degree. But going forward, like everything new, absolutely. I have literally like 20 some odd people that I work with that do digital designs or conceptual stuff. And we make it from there. And then the factory prefers it that way now. They prefer to get the 3D files. They don't even want a hard copy anymore. They just want the 3D file, and they make the molds from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like from start to finish on one figure, just to get an idea, like you come up with the idea, and it get from the digital creation to getting the initial print. That do they make the molds before they send the prototype, or do they print it out and then send you the prototype and then make a mold only after that's approved?
Yeah. So everything is sort of an ongoing, ever-changing process, and the way it was done before is not the way it's going to be done again, and et cetera, et cetera. So every time it seems all new, all over again. But for instance, let's say for Hidden Force, the ideation of Hidden Force took us 3 years, but that was because we had time on our hands. We knew we didn't have the finances yet. So we just kept spending time refining our ideas and, what have you. But if you want to say, pretend that I came up with a concept for a figure today, the process would then go, I would contact an artist or a sculptor, depending on who I was going to use. Sometimes we get an artist to do first because we're going to get a tighter sculpt out of that, or more specifically what exactly we want. Whereas sometimes it's a looser idea and we leave it to the sculptor to come up with the interpretation of it. So that either way, that's going to take between a couple of weeks and a couple of months. And then once that's all done, we'll do a 3D print ourselves and make sure everything is functional. And then once we have that 3D print that we're happy with, whatever revisions have to be made there's going to be anywhere from 0 months to 3 months in revisions. And then once we're happy, we send it to the factory. The factory does essentially the same thing, but in a better scale, higher quality. And then they send those back to us to make sure that that is in fact what we want. And then if we approve, then they do some test paints, which we actually always ask to skip because we know that their paint's impeccable, but they insist on it. So it takes another couple of months, unfortunately.
Oh.
And then from there, so then you get your painted prototypes. And then from there it goes to tooling. Tooling takes a minimum 45 days. And I'm not sure exactly why that's always the minimum, but that is, I've always been given 45 days for tooling. And then once tooling's done, it goes into production, and that can be anywhere from 1 month. It depends on the size of the order and how many SKUs or individual figures you're ordering, but that can be anywhere from a month to 3 months as well.
Wow.
So
Wow.
start to finish, if everything is going your way, 1 year, and if
Yeah.
everything is going the normal way, about 1.5 years.
Wow.
And
Do you
then I have a question that sort of tacks onto that. So then these factories are in China, right? Are you using some of them? Do they actually do the packaging and everything over there as well, or do you do that on your own over here?
Yeah, we talked about doing it here for Hidden Force, strictly for savings in shipping, because that's a whole other thing that you got to consider, right? So shipping finished figures fully packaged, you have to go with a slower form of shipping. So we're looking at a couple of months just to ship them here.
Gotcha.
And it's expensive. And if we can have the figures flown out, just the figures and the accessories loose, we can have them flown out over, like, they could be here in a week. And if we had proper packaging facilities here that we were happy with, they could, and then do it in another week. Like the turnaround, we can shave 4 or 5 months off, but is it worth it? And in this case, it wasn't. There's no way that we could make it more affordable for everybody. It was still going to cost. It was going to cost more to speed it up.
Okay, I got a question. You still have a landline phone over there?
Yeah. So I own a restaurant.
That's what I got out of this whole thing.
I own a restaurant, and I'm in my office at work because it's Saturday afternoon here. I'm sure. I'm
just kidding with you.
No,
Okay,
and
okay.
I didn't think to put one. Actually, I'm going to put that phone away.
I'm really just messing around because I'm like, wait a minute.
I wanted to ask you: have you done both methods of producing a toy where you did have original sculpts or prototypes or hard copies that you would send to the factory, and now currently it's kind of done digital sculpting is kind of the modern way of doing it? But have you done both ways?
Yeah.
And did you find you got any different results in the final product based on those detail wise or maybe even speed wise?
For Red Laser, it was definitely, everything was hard copies. Like I sent out, everything was hard copies, and we it was definitely faster, but there was no quality control. Like we didn't have the amount of input on what the final product looked like. So yeah.
How long ago was that project?
We wrapped up on Red Laser 2018. That's when we called it a day.
And since then, you've had digital sculpts
Yes.
sent to your production and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny too. I mean, I'm not. It's hard to say it without sounding like I'm patting myself on my own back, but so when I was doing Red Laser, I was the first out of the sort of new generation that was exploring what could be done, and I'd sort of taken that jump, that leap of faith, and gotten into it and what have you. And a lot of my friends were sort of watching and being like, let's see how this turns out, because I'm very interested. And then in the time since when I closed up Red Laser, a lot of my friends have now gone on and done a ton of action figures, and to varying levels of success and varying levels of completion. But like Strike Force Alpha, and that's Jason Shiremeyer. He and I were working on something beforehand, and then Longbow, that was Troy and John and I, and then I had to bow out of Longbow because I have too many ideas, and they just wanted to focus on one, and I'm like, sorry guys, I'd rather leave this one great idea and go do something where I can do 50 ideas instead of staying stuck in this one idea. And then with Skeletron, with who am I forgetting? But like all these other people, they would constantly talk to me and ask me questions and what have you, and I gave them all the knowledge I had, and then they all have toy companies now, which is fantastic. And so now I'm coming back in now with all the new ideas, the new factory contacts, the new whatever, the new financing, and then now they're sharing, like they're giving me ideas. They're telling me what they've learned in the few years. So it's nice, you know.
Yeah. Do you talk to the guys at what is it, 5x5 who did Delta 17?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Delta 17. Actually,
yeah. Steve. Yeah.
Steve is like, out of everybody in fandom, he's my closest neighbor, or was.
Oh,
so he used to live just 20 minutes away from me, on an island on the west coast of Canada. And
wow.
And he actually tried to buy Red Laser from me back in the day, and I was like, I can't sell it because I'm probably going to close it, but you know, I'd love to help you get your line up and running. And he was like, he really needed very little information. Like I just gave him a little bits and little, you know, helped him as best I could. But Steve's totally self-made. Like he did everything himself. Yeah.
Because I got one of them when I was at the show, and I opened it after I got home here, and I loved the quality of that figure, and I'm hoping you guys can match that, because
I actually
it was beautiful. It was
I haven't even opened those yet, but I intend to very quickly. I got a couple there at that show too. But Steve, and the funny thing is, so Ken, who's
Ken,
Toy Connections.
Yeah, so Ken's close to me here in Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. And so Ken, when I had Red Laser, Ken was my main seller. Like he's the one that carried the majority of my product.
Yeah. So, Ken seems like a very brilliant guy. He's smart. He's bright.
Oh, Ken's pretty.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Ken's great. Ken's a very smart guy. Yeah.
It's Canadian.
Right. Come on. I'm going to pull up some of the Legends of the Hidden Force.
Yeah.
Just so we can see them. Let me throw us up on top. Sure. So this was your Kickstarter campaign that you guys just completed. Yeah. So the pre-orders are closed on these?
Nope, they're still open. So when we approached Big Bad Toy Store, they said that they were very interested, but they wanted to see how everything went with our Kickstarter. So when we ran the Kickstarter and then backer kit after that for a little bit just to see, and of course we funded enough to do the first 12 figures. And then Big Bad Toy Store came in and very generously made some pretty big commitments to us, and that allowed us to be able to do a couple more figures. Just sort of gave us more working capital to do. So so right now, in return, we said to Big Bad Toy Store that we would turn off our stores, our every other way of picking up the figures for now.
Oh, okay, so they're all available on Big Bad Toy Store.
Yeah, they're still available for pre-order for about another couple of weeks, and then pre-order.
I was just checking while he was talking. There's actually one that's one of the accessory packs is already sold out for them.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So the other person that's carrying, or the other people that are carrying our stuff, is Cotswold, and I don't believe that they're sold out yet from their allotment or the amount that they pre-purchased from us.
Good call. But everything else is available on BBT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see this says, well, without my glasses, it looks like Masters of the Hidden Force.
That's right.
And then you got the Secrets of the Hidden Force.
Yeah.
And then this is the Champions of the Hidden Force.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Hidden Force.
People are going to freak out about that Eagle Force picture you just showed, because
I know
nobody's seen that yet. But okay. So the first, if you want to go even further back one. Okay. So the story is at first, or at face value, it's about a flower that grows in this somewhat mystical city of Harai in Japan. And these three clans have grown up generationally knowing that this flower is absolutely desirable to everybody outside of the world, or outside of the gates, because ingesting the flower in various forms gives you various abilities, whether it gives you stronger or like more strength or faster reflexes, or the ability to see further, or have a sixth sense. Depending on how you take the flower, it gives you powers. And so they know that, and they know that they need to protect it, but they're still fighting over it inside those walls. So there's the three clans. There's the Sabo clan, which is Shinobi there, the first one in blue. He's sort of the heir apparent to that clan. And then there's another clan called Aka, which is sort of our bad guys clan. And then there's Seichi, who are somewhat they're all animal based, and they're somewhat benevolent and undecided. But it becomes a bit of a war internally, and Shinobi and his friends leave because they feel like they're not being told the whole story. So they leave the walls to find out more. And that's sort of where the story starts. But yeah, the characters, the figures themselves, we designed them so that they integrate very easily into your 3 3/4 inch action figure collections. So not only do they hold most of the same proportions, and we actually use the same color guides that a lot of old toy lines use, so you'd actually be able to pair colors. But also we were like, well, what if people don't like our mythology? What if people don't, they just look at them and face value, they're like, neat, ninjas, I don't care about their story, I'm going to use them in mine. So we made sure, so we made sure that the toys sort of stood on their own, where, you know, like Shinobi is absolutely intentionally colored Cobra blue, you know, as his base, and like Tarashi is a Tiger Force ninja if you want him to be, you know, and Kusa he's, you know, a camouflage ninja that kind of represents or looks a bit like Stalker if you wanted him to be, you know. And like that was sort of the rationale behind every figure we made. We're like, this figure has to stand alone. Some kid, like, this is the only figure that they're gonna like, let's make sure, you know, it stands out. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at. Yeah.
All right. And then you got
the Masters of the Hidden Force. So this one hasn't come out yet, this series.
Okay.
We had originally solicited them, but we just couldn't do it. So they're coming out next. There won't be a Kickstarter. This will just be after we deliver on the Kickstarter items. This is going to be, we're just going to be developing these next. And so each one of them is one of the masters in this, you know, or sort of a masterful person, like at the height of their game in the city of Harai. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why I want, is that Senshi there? Tori?
Oh, Sensei Tori.
Yeah, Sensei Tori. Just with different heads so that I can assemble my Cobra Kai team.
Yeah, that was definitely intention. Actually, even it's funny because ever since we did this, we switched his lower legs, and so now he doesn't have the ninja boot. He has bare feet. So
that's nice. Yeah.
Even fitting that sort of homage further. So yeah.
Yeah.
I know that traditionally with O-ring style figures, you know, there's not removable heads and limbs. Does your line offer any swappable parts?
Yeah, absolutely. So we added the double jointed heads. So we have the pop and swap heads.
Okay, great.
So you can use modern figure, like say modern GI Joes. You can swap their heads onto here, but in addition to our wrists are swivel. So all the wrists, you can just pop the wrists, like the hands out, like a lot of modern figures, and swap them out.
Very cool.
Then I want to ask, are you using soft goods on there, or are those all vinyl, like capes and stuff?
Yeah, we're using both. So the Hebi-G and Hoji both have vinyl capes, and Shujin and Master Nei both have soft goods. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got this Secrets.
Yeah, so Secrets of the Hidden Force is just that out of every one of them, again, there's sort of like the running theme is you'll get to meet these characters, but each one of them has a secret that's revealed of, you know, and of different stages or different levels of importance, but each one is harboring a secret that they're not necessarily what you think they are.
Okay.
I like the telepathic ape.
Yeah, Satori. Yeah. Satori is there's actually it's not something we invented. There's a myth in Japan of Satori, the telepathic ape. Yeah, and so this guy patterns himself after that. He sees him as something to try to attain to be. He doesn't think he's Satori. He just goes by the name and follows that path. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Minami, the first guy.
Yeah. Minami.
Like, is he have like is that a mask, or is that like his actual? Yeah, that's
that's his mask. Yeah, he's sort of our.
Cool.
If anybody was sort of Snake Eyesy, it's him. He
Okay.
doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. Or he can, but it's very, very strained. But out of the group of friends, he's the sort of the ass kicker.
Gotcha.
So then when you create these figures, do you like go, okay, let's write an entire backstory for them?
Oh, absolutely. We have a huge story. And that's the thing. That's our problem, is we're trying to figure out how to get the story out, and we might just end up doing it just on our website, like come back every week and we'll have a couple more a new chapter up or something, because we have so much story to tell. We just don't know how to get it out there.
Yeah, I'd say that would
But
be
yeah,
the first way, and the next way would be like a printed material comic book type of thing too.
Yeah,
right?
I think comics are somewhat cost prohibitive, and they're not. It's not that it's too expensive. It's that I think a lot of our peers have gone out and made comics and then not really gotten much of a return on the investment.
Yeah.
Like the people, you put a lot of money into it and it's not even reaching all the people, and you want to figure out a way to get something that just reaches all the people, ideally for free, so
Yeah.
we're still trying to figure that out.
All right, so I'm just throw this out. This is a free idea.
Sure.
So on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, they have like these reels, and now they have the shorts on YouTube, and they have to be under a certain time limit. But if you have artwork and it's drawn in like a comic book format, you can film it, have the images pan and then just add like voices over, kind of like you're making like a motion comic with like voices. And then every episode could be like a page or something like that, or something where if you're sitting there scrolling through all your videos, it's like you're getting the whole story, but like, you know, and then they just link to the products. I don't know. That's just,
there's definitely something in there. I mean, I've done a podcast for 12 years, and somebody was like, why don't you just make it a podcast? But I don't know if that's going to reach everybody, but we're still trying to figure it out.
I think with that graphic, I mean, because you got great characters here, and like it's kind of like a cross between like a comic book and a cartoon. At that point.
Yeah. We'll definitely look into it.
Yeah. Salacious Rum says he backed this on the 11th of June 2023.
Yeah.
Shinobi.
Yeah.
Is that the same one you got, John?
Yeah.
So was that the big seller?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the standout. And it said it's taking a long time for one figure. Well, unfortunately you can't just make one figure at a time. You have to make, tens of thousands of figures at the same time, or else the factory's not interested. So
we'll tell Salacious Rum to rewind to the beginning of the show where you said the whole thing about like product development, design, manufacture, and shipping.
It should be soon. I mean, if you keep updated, Salacious, if you keep updated with the Kickstarter or whatever, there's still emails going out. And we had a minor setback, but we're pretty much on track now. So
there was something that I found interesting. I like that you guys were sharing that info. You had something go wrong with the arms on the figures, right?
It was
it ended up causing you to make a whole new mold, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
So setback is a big setback, in my opinion, right?
It is. It was really frustrating to find that out, that we had gone through the whole process and everything was ready, and they're just about to start production, and then so they do what they call like a last pull, and it's sort of, they just make sure that in the time that's passed, that everything is still functional. And so that's when you see like VSPs or vendor, the randomly colored plastic figures. They're just putting whatever plastic through to make sure everything's working right. And that's when they said, oh, we've just discovered that the mold for the arms is broken, so we have to remake it. And so it was really frustrating, but they're hard at work at it right now, and then production starts immediately.
But I thought it was really nice of you guys to be open with that and share it with the community and the people that are waiting, because it gives everyone who is reading those updates an idea of like what's going on. Instead of just hiding it and keeping it to yourselves, you seem to be very open and honest with the process and how, even if you have setbacks, like, I'm sorry guys, but this happened, and I prefer hearing that kind of stuff than just being like, whatever,
Well, thank you. Yeah,
it's important, because as a collector and somebody who has chosen to like share like my collection like on YouTube and stuff like that, when I get a new figure, if there's something wrong with it, a lot of times like I'll reach out to whoever the maker is and I'll ask them 4 or 5 questions about it, especially if it's kind of new, and I always wait to see what kind of response I'm going to get, because I think it's important to know, like, oh, are you aware of this? Is this something you're already looking at in the future? So you're already ahead of that by putting that information out there.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I try to be as transparent as possible. Do you mind if I address what Sonny said?
Sonny asked.
Go ahead.
The licensing.
Yep. So Sonny's question was, can you license product Shinobi
Yeah.
It's how you say it couldn't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it
So
means-
so you can absolutely come up with a product called Shinobi. You just don't have the same. You can't get a copyright or a trademark on that because it's just too broad of a term to us. You know, Westerners, like that seems pretty specific or unique, but it's exactly that. It's like if we'd called our toy, if we'd called the figure Ninja, you can't get that trademarked or anything because that's too generic of a word. You're not going to get a copyright on that or a trademark on that. So that's why you have to come up with something
You
more.
could call it like Super
But
Awesome Ninja Toy Company, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But your figure can be trademarked.
Yeah,
The
you
design
can,
of them.
absolutely. Yeah. The imagery, the your colorway, your everything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm going to trademark my name, but I don't think they're going to let me.
Oh yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I might be the only one, but anyway.
I don't. Yeah, it's interesting. Everything I grew up thinking I knew about the trademark and patent office, I knew nothing about, and I've learned so much in the last few years. But yeah.
All right,
and then so the champions of Hidden Force are so essentially that's our homage to the 5 unproduced GI Joe Ninja Commandos, which had GI Joe gone into 1995, those first 5 figures would have come out. That would have been Budo and Knockout and Flint and Storm Shadow and Road Pig. And because those figures never actually came out and were never produced, there isn't any real protection for them because they weren't made. They don't exist. So not only that, 30 years later. So I mean, there are homages. We're not saying that that's Road Pig. We're not saying that's Shadow. Like that's Gudan and that's Omen, and those are our characters. But we just thought, why don't we give them the look of the figures that never came out?
Gotcha.
So yeah,
that is super cool. Like it.
Thanks. Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah,
Because
so
when I saw that, the first thing I thought of was Road Pig. Like,
right.
He's so identifiably, and that wasn't intentional, but we're like, that totally looks like a Road Pig, but it's not Road Pig. It's Gudan, the bull. Yeah.
Road Pig-esque.
So then, obviously, the word Hidden Force, which again was totally, long since available because Remco went out of business ages ago and they've done nothing to protect the rights. So there was a character called Hidden Force in the Remco line 30 some odd years ago. And that's where this all started from. It wasn't even the word. It was just, we were talking about ninjas and what we wanted to do for ninjas. And Matt was like, my favorite figure was Hidden Force. And he wasn't even a GI Joe. And we were like, And then we as we had other conversations, we're like, Hidden Force could mean more than just one thing. It could mean a whole bunch of things. And we started spitballing back and forth about, and that was sort of the basis of the story. It was like, well, let's let everybody think the Hidden Force is one thing, but then secretly the Hidden Force is 2 or 3 other things. And from there, all the characters started to just materialize. Like we just like, oh, well, we would need a character for this and that. And it's sort of where it all started.
Yeah.
Nice. So
and I got to see
ahead,
you had the clear figure at the show. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
Go ahead. So this is still being produced, right? Your first series here, your first wave, you want to call it?
Yeah.
Now, not to jump ahead or predict something, but
sure.
Since you mentioned the Hidden Force was an old like Remco style, like 5.5 He-Man kind of ish.
No, they were 3 and 3/4 inch.
Oh, they were 3 and 3/4. Okay, my question was going to be: have you thought about maybe doing that? Bulky 5-inch, Remco style with your same characters and storyline, but just as a maybe a future alternate, scale or line.
I will say anything is possible. My love is 3 and 3/4 inch O-ring, and everything I produce will always be available in that. But that doesn't mean not any other way. Like there will definitely be other formats. One of the weird things that to sort of throw at you guys is all of our accessories. I don't know how familiar you are with Lego, but Lego has a standard. Well, Lego, the entire toy has standards. As the stud is always the same, and the receptacle is always the same, and the bar is always the same. And so all of our accessories are actually the bar, the Lego bar, the 3.18 millimeter bar. And so you can actually add to your weapons if you have Lego parts because they fit Lego and Lego fits them. And so immediately if we were going to do a different scale, we are already talking to people that do Lego style figures because we think that would be fun.
Oh, okay.
But because we already have the accessories ready to go, right? But we'll see about other sizes and other formats. We are talking to people. There are people that have come to us with.
So with everything you've done so far, it's been the 375 O-ring styles, right?
Yeah, and it always will. I mean, like I say, it doesn't mean there won't be other sizes, but there'll always be the basis of a 3 3/4 inch line. That'll always be the start.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's a lot. Well, trust me, there's a lot of collectors that do. I mean, we've made comments about certain. We won't mention McFarlane.
And the 5 million sizes they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had one of these clear figures at the show, right? Now
that's right.
Did you have the Remco one and this one, or how did that?
Yeah, so we had the Remco one, and then we had this one, which is we had just done a resin print.
Gotcha.
And so he'll but the factory is producing him right now as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
Rum's being kind of
yeah, because someone, what are they saying? So you're not worried about like cost overruns and like Kickstarters going bust due to the production cost and stuff? Like you pretty much have that nailed down, right?
Oh yeah, well yeah, both. Yeah, I'm very worried about that kind of stuff, but we've designed everything so that at any stage, at any level in the Kickstarter, that we wouldn't be left having to come up with more money on top. It was like, okay, well, once we hit there, we have enough to produce all this, and once we hit that level, we have enough to produce all this. So, yeah, the budget's tight. I'm not going to lie. Every cent that we made in the Kickstarter and backer kit and the pre-sales is going to the production. And there's literally not a cent left over, and that's okay by us. We're not in this to be rich tomorrow or ever. It'd be nice if we made some money at the end of the day, but we're more interested in making all the action figures we wanted and not being broke for it. That's all.
Yeah.
So I want to. Go ahead.
No, that covers it. I think and then Dandy's helping out in the chat with covering other things with Big Bad Toy Store that he might have missed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the concern that came up earlier about running out of money. But I'm interested in this clear figure and how it compares to like the other figures. Is the plastic got to be different because it's clear?
Yeah, a little bit, but not really. I mean, it's essentially the same plastics that we're using because that soft plastic is all the same soft connection points that we use. Yeah, like I would say, I'm trying to think of a comparable. I really wish I had opened my the Delta 17 figure, because I know that he's using essentially the same place as us and the same plastics as us and same everything, but I haven't actually opened it to confirm it. But yeah, so I mean, we're in the same factory that produces many other toys, along with of note Strike Force Alpha. And we don't have the same construction of figures. We don't have the same anything. We don't even have, I don't even know if all of our parts are compatible, but that's the same plastics. It's the same paint factory. And yeah, so if you have any Strike Force Alpha figures, that would be a good gauge to see what level of quality and craftsmanship comes out.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, I have a super geeky technical question.
Yeah.
Since I know you're an O-ring kind of guru. Now, Vern, are you able to make me big quick just so I can show this off here?
Yeah.
Well, I have a 6-inch O-ring style Mr. T figure.
Right.
But it's 6-inch, and I've had this for maybe 15, 20 years.
Sure.
And nobody knows where it's from or who made it, or if it's a prototype or any kind of a hand-painted photocopy, but it's exact same as what Galoob did. Yeah. But it's not 3.75. It's actually double that. It's 6 inches.
That's crazy.
Recently, my O-ring broke, but I've had this a long time. I've never, even if you look for a 6-inch O-ring figure, nothing even shows up on Google, but like my Facebook post from 2020. Like, have you ever heard of any?
No, I couldn't tell you where it came from, but to save on costs, you can just scale up a figure, like to save on production costs again. So I could say to the factory, hey, take all those files and scale it up to a 6-inch figure, and they could run a mold and it would be the exact same, and thereby saving me from having to do a sculptor or whatever, or the months that it takes to get that. You can just
sure, but then you're paying for a new mold.
It's a whole new mold. Exactly, you're still paying for it. Yeah. But yeah, if somebody was rushing something to market and they needed to eliminate that first 6 months of development, that's the easy way to do it.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there because I've been asking as many experts and
I've never seen anything like that
ever. What this toy was from?
Yeah, that is interesting, Rick. He never showed us before either.
Basically, I post it every year on the internet, like for 20 years.
Somebody will figure it out one day.
All right, so I got to ask a question. I'm going to go back to this original first slide that we did. So this has your guys' Instagram and the website for Whiskey's Jack Toys. Now it was sent these two logos, and they're Megaliocorp and what is this other?
So it's Melio and it's the War Masters.
And what are they?
Okay, so again, like I said, really quickly there, Shinobi and his friends leave the protected city of Harai to go see what else is out there. There's more to it. I mean, I don't want to reveal everything, but
okay.
So they go out there knowing, like I said, the outside world, if they could get their hands on it, would destroy the city and exploit the flower and what have you. Melio is it's a company owned by a sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like sort of like a billionaire, Jeff Bezos, sort of. I can't even think of his name right now. But yeah, sort of like the billionaire.
So it's Elon Musk's company.
Yeah, essentially, he's sort of a hybrid of all those sort of high-profile billionaires. He made his empire on health and wellness, exploiting, like snake oil products and exploiting people's need for whatever. And so he's very messianic, and he is sees himself as the ultimate guru. And Melio is it's Italian for better. It's just he believes that he can make the world better. Or at least that's what he promises everybody. He sells everybody on the idea that he can make everything better. And so he wants the flower. He finds out about it, of course, and he's like, oh my God, like I could make billions. I could sell billions by figuring out a way to exploit this flower that gives people powers. And but he doesn't have any muscles. So he turns to a small consortium of weapons manufacturers called the War Masters, and essentially hire something. He's like, go do what you have to do to get me that. And that's sort of where that's where the story really digs in. Like that's where it becomes.
So that's like a tease of something that's coming.
Yeah. Right. So, and that is to say too, that yes, our first 4 or 5 waves are all ninjas. And then after that, we definitely start breaking out of that mold. It's not all ninjas anymore. There's a lot of other things. So
more story to tell everybody.
Yeah. Pretty deep story. Yeah.
That's gonna be really cool.
Like I said, we really want to tell the story. We've worked on it for years. So
nice. Yeah. All right. So I'm showing this.
Yeah, nobody's seen that. That is a first to the world.
There it is.
Wow.
So Eagle Force, the plan was Eagle Force would come out about 1.5 years from now. And Bill, who I adore dearly, he's a very close, good friend. He's like, do what you can to get it out faster. And I was like, we can make a kind of a special mission Savitar, not our final Savitar, but we can make like a certain specific mission. And he was like, do it, let's do it. So we literally came up with this figure a couple of weeks ago, and it should be available, I don't know, in 4 or 5 months. And we're treating it as a sneak preview because we are doing a whole Eagle Force line. We're not there yet. We're almost there. So, yeah.
So who owns Eagle Force? Because that was a line back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bill bought all the
actually...
rights. Yeah, he bought all the rights and everything from Eagle Force from Marty Abrams, which Marty Abrams was Mego, right?
Oh, so that was a Mego thing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he bought the whole everything off Marty. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. I remember, weren't they the metal? Were they metal back in the day? The little.
Yeah, they were like 2.5-inch metal figures.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So is this utilizing some of your parts from your line because you're following the O-ring ninja styles and
absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, and there's a lot of figures coming out, even in Chaos, that they were essentially, I was making them because I was like, oh, I need to repurpose this to get that Eagle Force line going. I need to, like, if I need this jacket, can it be a jacket that can be used in Eagle Force? Yes. And like,
Gotcha.
oh, I need that, you know, so yeah.
That's cool. I mean,
well, I mean, a lot of companies did that back in the day. Like Kenner reused some Star Wars to make like, what was it, Robin Hood, and they use some superpower stuff to make other lines. Yeah, so it's like I think a lot of companies will retool and use old molds to make new figures and new lines, and it just makes it more cost effective for you guys,
Absolutely.
right? And
when we're still small and just getting started, it's absolutely imperative, and I look forward to the day when we don't have to, but you know, like, and that's the difference. Our Kickstarter funded at 50,000 and Carson's was 400,000, you know, and because Carson, that's what is it, Operation Recall, I can't remember what he's calling it, but it's the full line of, essentially he's using all the original creators from GI Joe to make new essential GI Joes, and he's
each one is unique then, right?
Yeah, and so each one of those got a unique body and unique head, unique everything, and I think that's awesome and it's fantastic, but it shows you the difference of what that is. Like, to do that, you need a budget of like 400,000. You know, like that's just the way it goes to do that kind of production run too. Yeah,
right. So this is in conjunction with Fresh Monkey Fiction.
That's right. Yeah. This is definitely with Bill. Yeah.
And one of the ways, I guess, you're able to, you asked if he could, or he asked if you could expedite this particular figure, and you're like, yeah, but because we have some molds existing now, we just have to maybe tool ahead and then some accessories and, you know, give them a new paint plan kind of thing. So that helps to speed up something like this when you are, you know, in some cases able to, you know, reuse parts that exist or some of your molding tools, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I got these.
There's the chaos.
Tell us about chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so chaos is just me. I mean, I normally have a partner in lines, but like every second or third one is going to be just me. And chaos is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's villains versus villains. There's no heroes. There's no good guys. It's just bad guys being bad to each other. And so in the beginning, it's Killjoy, Dr. Killjoy here. It's his idea that, you know, every plan he has, every master plan he has gets foiled by whatever good guys. And he knows that other people around there are just like him. So he invites them to create a group, and they'll take out each other's enemies. They'll like just join forces temporarily to remove each other's enemies. And it goes over so well that he puts a call out to all the villains of all the world, essentially, you know, through back channels and what have you.
Facebook group they have.
Yeah, right. And so they create essentially an army of bad guys, and they become essentially unstoppable, and they just keep taking out each other's so that's just it. So you'll see people that are individuals like Killjoy and Maniac, they came from their own whatever, but you'll see other groups that may have existed in the past. So Backdraft and Blaze are here. If you remember Bronze Bombers, they're some of the bad guys from Bronze Bombers, and repurposed as, you know, they saw the Bronze Bombers group was called Pyro and his band of thugs, but we've changed it to Firebrand. And so Firebrand was like, they just bought into what Dr. Killjoy was selling. They were like, yeah, we'll join your army and help take out each other's enemies. And you'll see more and more of that as we go forward. There's other sort of subgroups that existed in toy lines from long forgotten, start making their way in joining this army.
You know, is Steel Monsters, is that up for grabs from Tonka? You could turn them into O-ring figures.
I don't want to give away too much. We don't have any mock-ups done, but I absolutely adore them. And yes, we hope to bring a few of those characters over.
That's a great line.
Yeah. Huntsman and Spider are both from a very obscure European toy line called European Force. And they were bootlegs, unabashedly bootlegs from the 80s, available only in Europe. And so we've just, these aren't the characters' names. They had other names, but so this group is called Tarantula, and they've been absorbed into Killjoy's army as well.
So this is your own original IP, this line of chaos here.
Yeah, but in this one, we're making a lot of homages to a lot of all of the lesser known villains that I loved playing with when I was a kid. You know.
No, that's good. But I mean, at this point, from everything you showed us, you're not paying anyone any licensing fees.
No.
To use their words or pictures or stuff like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so Swampfire and Buzzkill, they're again just two of Killjoy's agents. You know, everybody's got a pretty interesting past, but they also are meant to be, just take them at face value. They're just fun villains to add to your Cobra army or your whatever. Make them fight Transformers for all I care.
More 18 bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs more bad guys. Yeah, and so Chaos is going to go to Kickstarter in October. I'm gonna from October 1st to October 31st.
I like that guy with the mohawk, the metal head and the mohawk. Yeah. Is there any chance that could be vac metalized? I mean, do you know what I mean? Like with that,
we cool chrome look? Yesterday, we talked about it yesterday. I would love to do it chrome, vac metalized. The factory can do it chrome. The problem is that when you chrome something, you chrome it all. You can't not chrome it all. You have a touch point where it's being held, where it's to get the vac metalized process, and the vac metalizing doesn't allow for paint. So we could chrome the whole thing, but you can't paint it.
But then the mohawk wouldn't be black. I get what you're saying.
Or the eyes wouldn't be red.
Or the eyes red. Yeah.
So
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a way around it. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll talk to the factory. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to do them. Okay.
Oh, and then, these are cool.
Macumba.
Vern has like press on hair. So maybe you can like have
a piece like that. Yeah.
Have a piece you can glue on and
yeah.
Now, does this guy have a transparent skull?
Halloween does.
That is so cool.
It's a transparent orange skull. So Halloween,
that's cool, man.
Halloween doesn't really. Yeah. So Macumba is a voodoo priest. Halloween he believes he's the spirit of trickery and whatever. He makes some pretty outlandish claims, but at the same time, people are like, he's not actually a demon, but he keeps saying to everybody he is. But nobody can explain why he has a transparent orange skull head. So
that's cool. That's why.
It's because he came right out of my comic books that I drew as a kid.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome.
That's a different name, Vern. You can't sue him.
I know.
Now,
these are my favorites so far. Nice work on these.
Thanks.
So now I got to ask about glow in the dark. Like,
oh yeah,
is that like something they can do there too, or like how does that work when you make a glow in the dark figure?
There will be a glow in the dark version of Halloween for sure. Yeah.
Don't make it a Walmart.
I just see these and I think of all these different repaint options, like
Oh yeah,
build Fisher Price space colors or Hammerhead colors. Like these are fantastic.
Oh yeah, way ahead of you on some of those, but I always like to hear other ideas too.
So Salacious Rum's making another comment. He's saying,
sure.
So let me ask you a question. Are you leveraging the revenue that you made from pre-orders to do Wave 2?
Yeah, Wave 2 and Wave 3, both all together, we need one new tool. That's it. We just need one new tool to make those other two waves happen. We're going back to Hidden Force, which is very affordable considering the amount of tooling we had to do to get the initial ones done. So we're not even going to go to Kickstarter for it. We're just going to hopefully sell enough figures. But if we don't sell enough figures, we'll just come up with the money between ourselves and take out a loan or whatever, because it's not a ton of money. It's not break the bank money at all. But the idea then too, it's production runs at that point that become really expensive, right? Like,
yeah,
just again, a factory won't do small numbers. They have to have a minimum amount to make it even worth their while. And
what would be a reasonable guesstimate on when backers would potentially expect to see like something showing up?
For what? For For
that.
Hidden Force?
Yes.
Hidden Force, we're hoping for now, like mid-August. We're hoping.
Okay.
We'll see. I mean, the broken wrist or broken arm or whatever it was, we don't know how far that's going to set us back, but we're still hoping for August, maybe September. I don't know. As soon as we know from the factory, we'll tell everybody.
Okay. I was just curious.
And the only thing too, I mean, I think something worth mentioning is that sometimes it is rather nebulous and you don't get anybody confirming or nobody's making any sort of solid claims. And the only thing I can say is that this is a proven factory. They did Strikeforce Alpha. They did so White Elephant Toys, which is Strikeforce Alpha. He's worked at this factory for 15 years. He's had toys out at Toys R Us. You know, like this factory has produced toys that have been around for quite some time. So I trust them is all I'm driving at. Is I know that these aren't another fly by night trying to figure it out as they go factory. This is somebody that's done this before. It's frustrating. Yeah.
I know a lot of these popular, the quality good toy manufacturers are busy because they are producing action figures and toys for lots of other companies that want the quality toys. Absolutely. So I totally know what you mean. Yeah. And I know some of these overseas factories, because we're in North America, they have holidays all the time. Like
they do.
Week-long
they shut
holidays.
down for like 6 weeks. You're like,
because
what?
They work. Like they'll go to work for like 20 days in a row, and like, because they live out of town, they stay in lodging or whatever you want to call it at their factories, and then they'll get okay. Now it's 2 weeks off. It's May holiday. You go home. And then you come. Like it is a little different over there, but I'm aware they for sure things do get delayed because we don't know these holidays. We don't have calendars that say every 20 days they have a 2-week holiday, and the factories
totally
are closed.
It's just totally different over there. Yep.
Have you been on to visit a factory yet?
I haven't. No, I'd like to go next year. I'd like
to
think
it seems quite interesting.
I love it. There'll be a lot of irons in the fire next year, and that seems like a good time to go. So
excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I had one more question, like related to production of things, like so, because I've heard this from a few other people where like they get say like a test shot and you get it back, and you're just kind of like, wow, this wasn't the plastic I was expecting. This wasn't the feel or the thing, and then you have to go back and you have to be brave enough, number one, to tell the factory, right? Because some people will just live with it, and then they're like, oh crap, when the product comes out, the customers aren't happy with it. But it's like, did you run into any of that? Do you get something back and then go, you know what, this isn't quite right, guys, we got to change this before it can go into production?
The whole time we did Red Laser, there wasn't that. We didn't get the test shots, but they would take their own liberties and make decisions for us without conferring with us. Gotcha. And we would get subpar product, and we're like, what are you doing? Like, well, we saved you, $3,000. We're like, well, now this is garbage. Like, you can't do that. You can't do this and not talk to us. So I haven't faced anything like that with the new factory, but
gotcha.
But
okay. So it's something that's happened, but not with current stuff. I gotcha. Yeah. Because I could just imagine that process being kind of long. You think you're getting something back that they think you're gonna be happy with, then you're like, no, man, you got to change all this, and then you also have to be brave enough to tell them, because some people, if they're too shy or they don't understand the business, they might not speak up, and then your customers aren't going to be happy. So it's good that you've already been through that experience, I guess, and you've got that in your back, in your belt, or whatever you want to say.
For sure.
So I know that, like, okay, so as Whiskey Jack, that you were saying the chaos is like your idea, your line, and the Hidden Force is you're working with other guys. So I'm assuming the other people that are working on Hidden Force are like engaged in like what's going on at the factories and all that stuff too, or is that all fall on you basically?
Yeah, no, we just sort of each pick our battles. So because I had so much experience dealing with factories and what have you, that's more on me. Whereas they handle a lot more of the talent pool. And Yeah, just because it's easier for a designer to talk to a designer in a designer language than it is for me to talk to a designer, like just because Matt's so amazing at that. So we let him sort of handle talking with all the talent and all the sculptors that we use and designers. Yeah.
So as a like a follow-up, I know you were talking earlier that you were working with some guys that had that one idea and you were kind of like, no, I got to go work on my 50 ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When do you feel like it's like I'm now planning too far ahead?
Always. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of these characters, like some of the stories, some of the whatever, like if I've been doing this since I was probably 17 and, I'm in my late 40s. So I have literally books and books and books of potential stories, like premises, character types. I literally have to have a list on my computer of 3,000 characters and the 90 different storylines of what I would like to tell that story one day somehow in some format. And most of this stuff, like all this stuff, is half of it's already done. Like for Chaos, I came up with 300 characters. I have 300 characters. I'd love to get through. Hidden Force has 240 characters. Like we would love to get to them all. I don't think any one of them are going to get to the end. I know that there'll only be so much support to such a degree, but they all have long legs. There is a lot. If any one idea takes off, there is a lot to go with.
Okay. So I got to ask a question then, real quick about this Chaos.
Yeah.
How soon before the legs run out does this guy get a car?
Maniac. We're already talking about vehicles for sure. We have a vehicle that we're trying to develop right now because it would be useful in 2 of our lines. And with that, if we can get there, if we can get to that, then it opens up a lot of possibilities because I don't want to give away too much, but there is a bit of a hidden force in, like, everything I've told you about is happening in chapter 1, or the main story, the first act. In the second act, they end up in a deserted wasteland, and we sort of shift scenarios, and that deserted wasteland is very post-apocalyptic. So we can post-apocalyptic ninjas are awesome, by the way. But
looks like ninjas drive Mitsubishis according to Google.
Well, and that's just it. So there's room for some pretty amazing cars that have been tricked out, and
motorcycles
and vehicles, and exactly. So we're trying to get there. That it's definitely on our radar. And I'm sure you'll see development as we share.
Yeah.
Cool.
I hope you're. I was going to say, I hope you're good with all this, because we're, especially Vern and I, we're very interested in how toys are made, how they're designed, the sculpting, the factories, like Rick too, with Dan, everybody. So that's why we're asking these kind of technical questions. I don't know if you normally get this kind of stuff when people ask, but it's just something that we're very interested in. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said at the beginning, a lot of my peers or contemporaries did sort of strip mine me for information in the early days. I'm used to it, I guess. I'm not a trailblazer or the first to walk that path, but out of all the people I know that were taking a lot of risks and trying things out because they were so desperate to get a figure made, I do know that I'm the one that's the least of a gatekeeper. I have no need to hide this information. I don't understand why people want to hide how to do things from each other.
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
A certain trademark point of articulation, or something that. But other than that, I do what you're saying. It sounds like this branch of the toy, the smaller action figure making companies in the O-ring realm are happy to share some tips and tricks and not do's and what do's, and that's there's nothing wrong with that.
What's awesome about knowing all of them. So at Joe Fest, most of them were there. There was Troy was there from Longbow, who used to be my business partner. There was Steve from Strike Force, from Delta 17. Matt from Strike Force Alpha. Like, we're all friends, and so I just pulled them all aside on the first day, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm about to dump a lot of money into tooling this vehicle, and I know it sounds weird, but can you all look at it and tell me that we're not competing against each other? Because there's no need for us all to go broke trying to all make something similar to each other. And I showed everybody. He's like, no, it's cool. I'm not doing anything like that. No, I'm not doing anything like that. And then Steve pulled out pictures. He's like, I'm in the middle of tooling that very vehicle. I was like, what? So we looked, and I was like, okay, well, that's fantastic. I'm so glad, because why would I want to compete with you on this? I will change what I'm doing to fit, better, where it doesn't, it doesn't impede on your sales. Because now if somebody wants that vehicle, they can just get it from you, and I'll make something different. I'm okay with that. Like, and I hope that we can keep that relationship going where we all sort of just heads up, to do something expensive. Is this dumb, and then somebody's like, yeah, I'm already midway through that. So, yeah.
So you don't have any mortal enemies in the toy business?
No.
I was gonna say, it's kind of like when we talk about all of our different, because we all have different YouTube channels, right? And we help each other out a lot, and I'm always like, if we help each other grow, Absolutely. Everyone can achieve their goals. And why can't you just have a group of people that are saying there's room at the top for everybody? Why don't we just help each other? And everybody reach. I'm
going to go back to Marauder John, Marauder Gunrunners. Marauder John said years ago to me, he just said, a rising tide raises all boats. And it's not that he coined that term, but in this instance, it's true. The more there is of us, doesn't mean we're competing against each other. We're creating a bigger space, a more collector base. We're helping each other. We're bringing all each other up, because we're actually making a bigger customer base to draw from. So
Well, I think it also kind of helps. I had done that video like about Valaverse and Hasbro and the two lines, right? And I was kind of comparing them, and you can see that Hasbro has made a lot of improvements over their line. I think that was a direct reflection on a little bit of the competition in the market. You know what I mean? So I think everybody kind of gets, receives from that, because I think, the accessories and everything get better. Then you see companies like Gridiron Studios making their stuff. And then you got Fresh Monkey Fiction with their Monster Force lines and stuff like that.
Oh my God, I love Monster Force so much. I do. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, Bill, you got to let me make that into 3 3/4 inch for you. And he's like, we'll talk, but I love it.
Yeah. You just see that stuff and you just know how it's just bumping up your person, in my mind, it's just bumping up my personal collection at this point, because there's just going to be more to choose from.
Yeah.
So Aaron, you're a 3 3/4 guy through and through. That's your jam.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So is there any, I don't think it's going to be something you're going to say, oh, I'm already working on that. But I mean, is there any toy line, let's say pop culture, comic, movie, something from your life that has never been made an action figure line that you think would be an awesome, like O-ring style action figure and toy line?
I have a small list. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to share that because I'd like to still pursue them, and I don't necessarily need the competition.
Okay, I kind of thought I'd get an answer like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. There's a few properties out there that have never been made into toys that I'd love to handle. But there's also a couple of properties out there that I'm not tipping the hat on anything, because I'm not giving any names, but I have been talking to a couple of different comic book producers and just saying, like, I love what you're doing. And by couple, I literally mean two, but just I love what you're doing. I would love to make an action figure line out of this.
Nice work.
And so we'll see how that goes. But
cool.
We're really early stages. Yeah.
So on a personal note, though, what do you collect personally?
3 3/4 inch O-ring action figures. That's it.
Yeah, that was coming.
Any. I'm not. It's not just like GI Joe, but like Chips, MASH, Robotech. There's American Defense, the Core. Any of them that came with the O-ring figures. Like it's all fair game to me.
Well, A-Team was the best one by far. We all agree to that, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though they look nothing like their uniforms look nothing like their TV show counterparts, but they're O-ring.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica or
all right,
Buck
Dan,
Rogers.
It was Buck Rogers. Yeah, Buck Rogers had the O-ring. Yeah.
Black Hole.
We'll see you next week. Yeah, hold on. We'll see.
Yeah,
you
hey,
next week.
Darren, it was awesome meeting you, man. I apologize. I have to go. I have a
no worries. I got to go pretty soon too. We're getting into our lunch here at work. So
the
Well,
restaurant.
good luck, man. It was great meeting you.
Yeah, great meeting you. Thanks.
See you, Dan. Dukes of Hazzard was O-ring.
Yeah.
But because we're talking about that, so the A team, the good guys, were O-ring.
Yeah.
The bad guys were 5 POA. Does anyone
that.
know why that was? They're both by
I'm gonna
rules,
fix that.
I want to fix that.
But I mean, the bad guys were 5 POA, and then the good guys were O-ring, and it's just weird.
Just keep your eyes on Chaos, and you will get the O-ring.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
But that's exactly what Chaos is. It's to take all those weird figures that were lesser known villains that nobody remembers and make them sort of prominent again or elevate them. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're saying you gotta get ready to take off because your
I do.
work comes first.
Yeah. And
all right.
there's been I hope it hasn't bothered you guys at all, but there's been lots of knocks on my door.
Nah,
People
fine.
keep trying to come in here.
Oh, we're okay.
Good. Okay.
Usually we're just talking over each other, so we wouldn't have noticed anyways. Really appreciate you coming on though and talking about Chaos, Legends of the Hidden Force, the whole thing.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I could talk about this stuff to the end of the earth because I love it all. So yeah, if you ever want me to come back on and talk more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we were just gonna say if you want to come back during that Kickstarter for Chaos,
Sure.
you're more than welcome. You know,
that'd be fantastic. Yeah. So sometime in October, I'll see you then.
All right. Awesome.
Okay. Great. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks. Bye.
I guess he didn't realize he has to click leave.
I gotta do that on my desktop.
All right. Anyways,
that was cool. That was good.
Yeah. Let me say hi to some people who showed up in the chat that we missed earlier. So storyteller here 0111. Rick, the Admiral arrived.
Nice.
You're
that's Andy, right?
Yeah, from Holo Chronicles. Let's see. I'm trying to go back because I'm okay. Northern Nomad, of course, Salacious Rum, Mod Extra. Just want to say thanks for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it. We're not done yet. Who did I miss? I know I must have missed somebody. Now,
Sonny. Like I don't know.
He's been here since the beginning.
Okay,
now, Storyteller. I don't know. Have you ever been in the chat before? Because I feel like this is the first time I've seen you. But welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
And he had some good insight, good stuff to say in the chat. Yeah.
All right. So, talk about this for a minute. So Hasbro did give us a little bit of tease of the HasLab. They're gonna make their announcement on the Thursday, the 25th at Comic-Con. It's gonna be like at 5 p.m. I don't think they need to announce anything really, except for officially say, it's probably gonna be the Rattler here, right?
Well, you see the logo on the O.
Yeah, obviously the logo. But I do have one question based on this, right? So we're all saying, the Rattler, and I keep hearing like, it's going to be huge. Oh my gosh, that's so big. But which one, what size?
No, they said classified in that post.
Did they?
We clarified this, okay?
Okay.
Take the dragon. If you look at the vintage Dragonfly, okay, the vintage Dragonfly is actually longer than the vintage Rattler.
Okay.
From nose to tail to the end.
The wingspan.
Yes, but then you have the wings. So essentially what they could do is they could make the fuselage and have the wings as something we attach, and they could lay flat in the box. So essentially it doesn't have to come fully assembled. The wings can be flat in the box. Right. And you don't have much more tooling and much more to build than you did with the Dragonfly.
It's going to be $500 just so people know.
Well, the wings. You think the
bar
wings
has been raised with the prices now?
No, the wings tilt this way. They're vertical takeoff.
And for an extra $100, you get the second wing.
Hold on. Do you think they'll build? Do you think they'll make something where like the wing does kind of fold up a little bit in case you want to have it on a shelf? Like they just throw that in there to update it?
Maybe they come off easier. Like I think even the Razor Crest has those big, turrets or whatever. I think
Yeah.
I've seen people take one off so they could have it closer to their shelf and you don't really notice it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they even consider that stuff when they design these 6-inch scale vehicles.
Listen.
It's like, you want a 6-inch scale vehicle? All right, it's going to be big and it's going to cost more than if it was.
Yeah, but I've
scale.
seen a snow speeder was $100, stuff like that. So I don't see this being. It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, but the snow speeder wasn't even that big to begin with. It's a
let's
smaller
do this.
vehicle.
Jonathan's asking a good question. What will the stretch goals be? So here's what I say we do. We each go back into our collective thinking caves during the week. And next week on the Toy Duo team, we'll come out and we'll separately come up with what we think the stretch goals will be.
Assuming that you're going to get Wild Weasel with it already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did not realize that somewhere it was planned and it said it was going to be a classified HASLAB.
Yeah, it does. I did see that.
Did it say that, or did they say, hey, we're going to reveal the HASLAB and new classified reveals?
Well, I saw two different posts. The one post said G.I. Joe team to talk about classified and to talk about the G.I. Joe retro collection. So they're going to continue what they call retro, which is O-ring, right?
Right.
Then on another post it said G.I. Joe classified HASLAB during this panel kind of thing. Okay. And then on the Star Wars side of things, it says, yeah, we're going to discuss Black Series and Vintage Collection. And Rick can go, eat a donkey because we're not talking retro. But they always talk retro anyway, even though they don't mention it.
I'm thinking it's going to be more like $400, but I will see. We'll see.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, if it's classified, I think it should be, just because it's going to go along with the last ones that they did. I think that Sky Striker was kind of like, in my mind, like a one-off to help collectors or whatever say.
Well, that's where the original fans are, is like our guest we just had is in the 3 3/4, like Super John too, like Super John's heart. If they made that Rattler in 3 3/4 scale, I'm sure John would still get it. Like, I don't think
I wouldn't. I'm not going to back it because I already got the original.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I guess it's
like I did not back the Sky Striker because I have the original. So
yeah, I guess that's a good.
But point. I will back a classified Rattler, definitely.
Okay,
I'll
so
back it on day one.
Hang it from the ceiling fan.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in the 40th anniversary or whatever of G.I. Joe or whatever, right? Yeah. This is what I think they should have done, not the Rattler.
Parachute.
They should have did a total homage to the original, like say G.I. Joe 12 inches, did like some flocked hair 6-inch G.I. Joes, and did another helicopter. Did this version right here, where it's like you get that whole thing, Adventure Team feel for it. They could have did that black one, like the action.
But it would have 2 props on it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I have the other props. They're up there.
I'm just kidding.
Check this out. Look, how hard is it to make like something where you just push a button and the prop spins?
Yeah,
that's very hard.
Yeah.
Or you can just go like this.
In the 70s. That's a 1970s. Yeah, I do have the other blades. I just didn't pull them down because I don't keep them up there. But anyway.
So I wonder what the vehicle is that he's doing, and I wonder what the vehicle is he's now not doing because another 3 3/4 military style figure is making it. Interesting. And I Googled what do ninjas drive, and it showed me Mitsubishis.
No, it's the one dude pulling the cart, and then the ninjas.
Oh, that's racist, Vern. You can't say that.
No, because feudal.
Like a rickshaw, you mean?
Because they're in feudal Japan.
Tuck.
Whatever they called them in Japan, because they're in feudal Japan, ninjas, right? Those
are
modern ninjas. You don't have ninjas anymore.
I guess they didn't have tucks back in the back
that
in the
story
day.
About the flower though was interesting, right? Because that reminded me of like the boys where they take the potion and then you don't know what powers you're going to get.
Reminds me of the sweet sativa, that flower.
All right, so
Northern Nomad said that's 270s. Your chopper.
It's like almost it's almost like 60s. It's so retro. Like it's more retro than me and John.
Probably. Yeah, I got him up.
But yeah, I'm gonna guess just because Hasbro is up to the $500 US factor for HasLabs, it's going to be rare that something's going to be 400 or 300 again. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like unless they want to produce
it's going to be big.
60,000 of them.
I
If they
don't
want
know.
to
I mean,
produce 60,000 Rattlers, you know, make it a $225 item. But
people were saying that before when things were hitting $300, and then they came out with a $150 Transformer.
Here, just
You
so
know what I
everybody.
mean? So
yeah, but they probably
This
made
is
like
like
80,000 of
something
them
like that.
worldwide, like
I
compared to
don't know.
making
Yeah.
14,000 cantinas, which is a portion of what they did for Razor Crests and sail barges, and I think even Galactus was another high roller at, you know, plus 40,000 units. So that's a lot of units, right?
But Vern, your only problem with guessing the things next week is, aren't they announcing it Thursday?
No, the 25th.
Next
So it's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next
Gotcha.
week, here's what my plan is. So we're gonna do the hot or not section here in a minute. But I figured like next week's the weekend before Comic-Con. I'm not going to be available that weekend, by the way, unless if you guys are streaming something, I can try to jump in from
You can do it
Comic-Con and walk
live.
you around the floor or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be kind of interesting. If you guys wanted me to do that, just let me know. I was thinking next week what we could do is we'll go through as many of like the exclusives and talk about like the different kinds of stuff that you could potentially pick up at Comic-Con and like do something like that. And then we can talk about the HasLab reveal, what our guesses are for like Star Wars reveals, that type of stuff.
What are you air quoting guesses? I thought just exclusives gets the air quotes.
Well, because Rick's guesses are supposedly always right.
So far.
No. I got a video coming up, Rick.
Oh, I hope it's such a short video.
I basically snippeted every single one of your theories and then
Posted the real answer.
Yeah.
Well, that should be a winner for me. I might gain subscribers.
That's going to be the toy duo team November special.
So, and you should make a video of all the scenes and clips that you edit out my foul language and put that together in a compilation. Be your best view and video.
Only Star Wars.
Yeah. By everybody else is reasonable.
Yeah, everybody else knows what they're doing.
Is that true?
Yeah.
How much was?
Well, I'm telling you, one of those Transformers was only about $150, I think, and I think one was $175 or something.
Yeah,
like that,
I think
$179.
I mean,
they
how
were.
much was the his tank? $300.
Marvel tried to do that $350 car, and
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't go, eh?
Yeah, that didn't go over very well. And then the next thing Marvel did was the $200 Giant Man, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. The hot or not section. So these are the toys that are being peddled to us this week from all of our major toy and manufacturers around the world. And the first one is statues for Rocky 3. They are not posable, and you just stand them close to each other, and they look like they're boxing.
I did pre-order the Clubber Lang.
Of course you did.
Badass, man. How could I not? All things Mr. T, period. Thank you very much.
Right.
I didn't pre-order Rocky, though. I only go pre-order Clubber Lang.
If you were to put them next to each other, shouldn't the Clubber Lang like logo thing at the bottom be turned 90 degrees so it's at the side of him? Because when you put them on your shelf, you're going to put them.
They're not actually. You don't put them next
They're on
to each
little
other.
round bases, so you can kind of turn them however you want. But I mean,
the problem with both of their poses is Rocky would be hitting Clubber Lang in the side while getting ready to get hit in the head.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
The early Rocky, like I have owned all the Rocky figures at one time that NECA did and Jax did, and there was a Rocky figure with Drago. Like they did some variants where like one Rocky was beat up, and then another Rocky came with like a side of beef.
Yeah.
But there was a Rocky that had like blood and spit, like a detachable piece that you can put on his face because the head was like all, moved. Like the skin was over here, and it was just fantastic work. And I haven't seen anything as close to that yet.
Nah,
but yeah, these have. I think there's a variant head on these that you can change because I think they each get like a little bit of a beat up head. I could be wrong, but it's either these ones or the Apollo and Rocky ones from Rocky 1. One of them has like a beat up face. But I'm looking forward to them. I don't buy a lot of McFarlane stuff, and I haven't, the statues I do see are like Warhammer or, whatever. They're not related to things I collect. They look cool, like the detail and the paint qualities on them. And even my original Spawn figures I used to buy back in the 90s, those were basically statues, and you could like do this with the head, and maybe one arm did this a little bit. But they were badass. They're still statues, really, but
Do you believe people already have this Halloween set from Hasbro?
Yeah,
it
was an in stock. It was an in stock item when it went up.
That's crazy, man.
Can
I missed it.
Can I tell you something that I thought of that's completely original and totally my idea that they should have done for a Halloween set instead of doing these two?
Did you watch my short video? And
they should have done like Christopher Lee as Dracula.
He's messing with me because when I did that short video, that I did with Christopher Lee and
Grand Moff Tarkin there,
as Van Helsing.
Yeah,
I was talking to Dino on the phone. He's the one that told
me. I know
he
told me.
Movie together.
He told me all about it. That's why
I said to him. I specifically said, "You should do a short," and he said, "Nah, you do it."
Yeah.
So I did it.
Yeah.
They should do Yoda with a sheet over his head, like
exactly.
like the ET
opposite of the ET.
But
thing.
listen,
or like those NECA costumes with like the Yoda mask. Like the old Vader. Those would be the hottest figures of the year. Because
but Vern, when Dino and I were talking about that, I said if they did Christopher Lee as Dracula and Grand Moff Tarkin guy there, why are we blanking on his name? As like Van Helsing or something, I would have absolutely bought that set immediately.
I would have.
You know what I mean? But doing these two guys for Halloween, I don't want them. I don't care.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find. I'm going to find a on clearance Cad Bane and paint them, and then I'm just going to
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Why does Dracula have
a slingshot?
A stick. He's got a stick.
Oh, a stick.
Oh, it's not a slingshot. I thought it was a slingshot.
I think it's like half of an Ewok staff. Like I could be
wrong.
It
looks like an Ewok staff.
Some reused part from some other figure, which is rare that they would take parts from other figures. But like that Minoc is from something.
Yeah, the Minoc's from that.
Babu Frick is from a C-3PO set. So it's
the first time
usually
they came out with that
sometimes
Minoc,
share molds with that figure. So it's
the first time they came out with that Minoc was that Han Solo. The Bespin Han Solo when they released it at Comic-Con.
Yeah, in that 2-pack with Leia or something like.
No, it was it was
a breathing mask.
It was the first time he was ever released in that Bespin outfit, and it was in a diorama thing of the door from the Falcon, and then it came with the Minocs.
Yeah. So. And Babu came with a C-3PO, so maybe they are going to make those other two figures.
You want me to get up around
Halloween Han Solo and a Halloween C-3PO somehow.
All right, and then Marvel's Rogue, Marvel's Destiny 2-pack. Has this already been announced?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't remember seeing that version of Rogue. Wow.
When that big Thor was announced, and the what we hoped was a werewolf wave, but it was just a Strange Tales wave. A few weeks back.
So how long before I can pick this up for like $7.99 at Ross?
Probably after Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Let's see. Gap wants 3PO as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, they could do that.
Yoda as Mike Myers.
000's got like knife fingers.
Let's
just give him a Freddy hat and a scarf.
I appreciate these figures. I appreciate that they're making like another version of Rogue in a comic book format. These are both more comic booky, but I'm just not interested in this version of Rogue for my comic book collection, and I don't need Destiny for my comic book collection.
No.
So
look at that.
Look at me for saying this, but this might look better like in a non-window box where we can't see the figures. Just because it's such a waste of package. This one, like. Yeah, let's put a cool photo on the front and seal. Put the window away. I don't think these are good looking figures.
The Marvel's Destiny would be a pretty good, decent figure for like if you were making a custom Tomb Raider.
Or
Oh, there you go.
Bonehead figure.
Yeah. Okay, and this is
Oh,
Bruce
Batman
Wayne.
Beyond. Yeah, this is cool.
Animated style. Yeah, it looks good. I like the dog. Very dark picture. Way to go, Toddy Mac.
I know. It's like,
yeah.
you know what? You know why he did that, though? You
So we
can't,
can't see
the
it?
pegs.
Well, it was dark in the cartoon when
Yes,
this guy showed up. He was always in shadow and in the dark.
I know, but lately they've been taking some pretty kick-ass pictures for their action figure promotion.
Wouldn't that be hilarious what if they did the Salacious Crumb action figure, but they did a few of them and then they dressed them up as elves for Christmas?
A whole bunch of them, yeah.
All right, and then Bert and Ernie.
These are freaking brilliant, man. Like,
yeah,
it's just amazed me that like literally that we haven't had Sesame Street toys since like 1977 or something. You know, like it's been so, like, has there been? Like, I know there's maybe been stuffed animals, maybe there's been some board games randomly, but just have an action figure. So now Reaction's got 3 3/4 Reaction Super 7s. You know, they got
and
a couple.
NECA's got like a 6-inch scale.
And now they got blind box. They announced that'll be available at San Diego Comic-Con, which I hate freaking blind boxes. Like for children's toys, you guys know how I feel about that. But yeah, these look great for, again, where they're statues. NECA's not the most posable figures, but these are great. Like a rubber ducky.
I know, rubber ducky.
Mr. Hooper's store. Like, are they going to give us Mr. Hooper's store too? In 6-inch scale?
Yeah, it's right behind them.
Hey, Bert.
That's going to be their next diorama. Their $400.
So
diorama.
Is it Bert and Ernie or Ernie and Bert? Because I noticed in the order you put it, it's Bert and Ernie. But I
thought it was always Bert and Ernie, wasn't it? Always Bert and Ernie.
Always Bert and Ernie.
I think it used to be Ernie and Bert, but they changed
it never was
in the woke days and called it Bert.
No, it was never Ernie and Bert.
Alphabetical.
In the States.
That's a Mandela.
It was in Canada.
No. Yeah, that's because
Mandela.
Anyway, so
Cookie
Monster.
Oh my gosh, you've got a see-through Cookie Monster with cookies in his stomach. That is awesome.
It is really awesome. I think Chris might already have some of these because I think the first wave is out.
Are these in blind boxes?
These are freaking children's toy blind boxes.
So is that Cookie Monster like a special one? Like, do you get a normal Cookie Monster and then this is the chase or something?
They haven't showed a picture of a normal Cookie Monster yet, but you know it'll exist in this blind box. Like,
yeah,
that'll be the variant, is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, I definitely want.
These figures are blind box. You don't know what you're going to get.
Correct.
So,
but they also have Reaction Sesame Street on cards, and the first wave was Bert, Ernie, Oscar the Grouch, and
Big Bird. There was a Big
Guy
Bird.
Smiley and Larry the news guy or something like.
And they did the guys because I have
they did those guys too.
Yep. I have that's the only one I have because I remember Mark and I used to Mark and I would watch that on TV and then we'd run around the house going yep, and Mom would be like, "Will you two shut up?"
I absolutely love those characters.
Yeah.
All right, so Warhammer does this really weird thing where they like give you a painted figure, and then you could also get the unpainted version.
Yeah. I dig that. They look great in stores. Like when you see the unpainted one, and you're like, "Man, I could paint that to look like Trapjaw."
Yeah,
or because it's freaking cool that way.
Well, I have one of the Warhammer figures that's unpainted. My intention was always to paint it like potentially like this, like an Iron Man color.
Yeah, why not?
I think he did that because it goes along with the Warhammer 40K tabletop game.
Yeah, you buy them unpainted.
When you get all the figures, they all come in gray, the little miniatures.
Oh, okay.
And part of your deal is you sit at home and paint them and make your own colors for your army. You know what I mean?
Do you notice this guy comes with a weapon?
Yep. A couple of weapons.
Yeah, just the DC stuff doesn't come with weapons. That's all.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they do that. All right, here's the other Warhammer.
I like the soft goods.
Yeah.
I don't know Warhammer, but they look pretty cool. Pretty badass.
Oh, the new video game looks incredible. It's coming in September. It just looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm blown away by it.
So you're all buying. You're all in on these.
I actually might get this figure painted. I've only got like 3 Warhammer figures, and it's the big red guy with the flamethrower. I've got the blue Space Marine kind of guy, and with a regular machine gun, and then I've got the Ghost one, which I have it on a stand floating behind them, which is the thin. It's the thin armored Warhammer guy that has the cape and the staff. Like it's in that. It's in this series. So like this guy here with the cape is also in that Warhammer Space Marine group. And that's the group that I like. Yeah, that's the group that I like to collect. So I might actually get this guy in the painted version. But I'm not all in on Warhammer. I don't get any of the aliens or any of the other stuff because I only like the Space Marines themselves. And I'm very limited. I just need the one of each character. But this guy looks cool with the cape and that gun and stuff, so I might add him. So I might end up with 4 Warhammer guys by the time I'm done.
Okay. I'll probably... Oh, and this was revealed. This was...
yeah, very cool.
No, it's not even Hasbro. It's going to be the...
Super 7.
Super 7. So luckily, every time they run one of these campaigns, no matter how outrageous the pricing scheme is, there's always a 4 payment option of $25.73.
Yep, exactly.
So,
but as cool as this is, I think it's a neat idea, but they do say it's going to be a vinyl figure, which tells me that it's probably not posable.
No, well, that legs are
it's articulated.
The
legs look like they are, but
no,
they said it's a vinyl figure.
Yeah, but they said that the legs will have articulation, and I think that they said something about the wing having articulation.
Vinyl is basically the softer type of plastic.
Because what I would have done
are not vinyl. O-rings have to be the hard PVC type of plastic.
Yeah. What I want
off vinyl is what this is. So like
what I want with one of these figures is I want the jaws to be movable. I want the heads to at least go up and down. You know what I mean? Like, and what might be even better is if the heads had like a plastic head that had a movable jaw or something. But then what if the necks were with a wire in them and you could bend them to any way you want? And what if the tail had a wire in it so you could bend it the way you want? Like,
I think you want a lot of your toys.
I want a posable Tiamat figure that I can actually play with, not a statue. And this to me is pretty much just a statue. So as much as I love this and I think it's a great idea, I'm waiting until I'm gonna pass on this. And I'm going to wait until they make a Tiamat action figure that I can actually use with my toys.
Okay, let me read you what it says. The vinyl version of Tiamat is also getting released. The Queen of Evil Dragons is depicted with all 5 heads and comes with articulation at the hips, legs, wings, tail, and all of the necks and heads. The character is inspired.
It's not going to look like this then.
What is this? That's what he's describing as this.
Yeah, so I'm reading the thing where it's going to have articulation.
Well, where's the joint in the tail?
Maybe it is wires on, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's computer.
So I want to see one then. I guess I want to see the actual toy.
Yeah, so hopefully they're going to have one on display like they had that Mothership last year, because they're turning that Super 7 store in San Diego into a Dungeons and Dragons
D&D store.
So I'm hoping that they're going to have this guy on display at some point so you can see it. And
if it does have that much articulation, then I would be a buyer of this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It reminds me of the cartoons. So this is to go with their 7-inch line. So it's not really in scale. It's called Ultimates, their 7-inch line. So it's not really in scale with their 7-inch Ultimates figures, weirdly, but it is cool scale for their retro 375.
Yeah, they're 4-inch scale that they have. But the thing is, like, even though, because it's 15 inches, it's twice the height of the 6-inch.
Then there's Shogun, Godzilla, and Conan's.
Yeah, so if you have your 6-inch Hasbro ones, this one would look cool with those.
Yeah, I think the only other toys they do this big have so far been like Snoopy's and that Shogun You got that Shogun style Star Wars dude.
Yeah.
And that's made of soft vinyl, isn't it, Vern? It's not just hard plastic.
Which one? The
Shogun Star Wars guy you have?
No, it's made just like the vintage Shogun Warriors, where it's like a harder
vinyl.
It's a harder plastic. Yeah, it's not a vinyl. It's like a harder plastic. Here, I'll go grab it.
Yeah, so roto mold is usually hard plastic or soft.
So
vinyl. You get a choice. Yeah. So it's like, hollow.
It's hollow and it's tough. Well, not all of it's hollow because they had to put the spring in there to launch the fist. Now this is a little bit softer up here. Feels like rubbery.
Shoot your eye out.
Yeah.
Go shoot your eye out.
Okay, let's move on. So a couple more 7-inch figures. I imagine that they'll probably have some of these available at their Super 7 store during their big launch thing, their little Dungeons and Dragons world. I can't imagine that they would set up the place and then not have like the Ultimates figures that they've already announced.
Well, they've already produced some Ultimates figures, and they've already produced some reaction figures.
Yeah, but were they ever?
These are new reveals.
But were those other? Hold on, those other ones weren't they just pre-order? Have they ever delivered any of the other ones yet?
I don't know. They don't. Super 7 is not available in Canada, like at retail, so I wouldn't know. You have a store like in your city. The only store.
One of two.
Or two.
Yeah.
It won't leave me enough room in the house with the. Yeah.
That's what. Yeah. You got to make it reasonable. And then let's see. These are from Extreme Sets, so they have these like dioramas, and I guess like this one has these different options, and I think they would work well with like I think your Street Fighter and stuff like that. If you wanted these,
they also look very He-Man like
Ninja Turtles.
So this one set apparently is like $59 and comes with a whole bunch of different setups, so you can change it out. And then, do you remember the Creative Beast Studios?
Yeah,
they have this one up for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. It's not the one that they were doing, but this is the Cenozoic. But this is that same 1/12 scale. Sabretooth that looked pretty cool. Let's see, and then the Ghoulies.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is like $600 or something like that. So if you got it lying around, you can head over there and pre-order that.
Yeah, someone had like a giant, like 18 or 20-inch Ghoulie for sale at the GIJOE Fest.
How much?
Someone bought it. I didn't see it because someone bought it and he was walking around with it.
All right.
Yeah, but it was that green one in the middle there.
Oh, okay. And then what are these, Rick? Are these like a McFarlane as well?
No, these are that other company, not Jazzwares, but
Spin Master.
Okay.
They just put the figures in the wrong spots in their promo photos that they took.
They did actually. You're right. So, that's funny.
But I think the quality, and I don't own any of these, but the quality looks decent, and they're cheap. There might be the cheapest toy line that exists at that big box retail. But from what I see, they don't fly off the shelves. Like I don't think one has ever sold my Walmart.
You don't think one has ever sold? I've got almost every Spin Master 3 3/4 Batman, DC figure that they've made, including a lot of the Chase ones. Vinny and I were helping each other get everything and find all the Chase variants and things like that.
You know what they
cool to me? I would just, if they were retro, like my 5 POA style, I'd be all over them.
This is what I think they should do with the stuff that doesn't sell. You got all these guys that are in their like 40s and 50s.
Sell it to all these?
Toy hunting, right? Making these toy hunt videos. So if I was Target, this is what I do. I'd stack the shelf with them on day one. Like put all 5 of them out or 10 of them out, whatever. And then later that night, I would take 9 of them back into the back stock room. And I would just leave the one, right? To make it look like all of them sold but one. And then every time somebody bought one, I would just bring one out.
to make it look because like... the scalpers would probably come in and be like, holy crap.
Oh my gosh, somebody bought them all.
There was 9 of them yesterday, and now today there's only 1 left.
You're watching like toy videos and the next
yeah.
Just yesterday, there were like 10 of these in my video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. These are some sort of
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Maybe you should do that with the Legos.
Yeah.
This is NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They look pretty good. I'm not really getting any of those.
No.
He's beefy.
A Gap saying Target already does that.
No.
Except for what Target's really doing is the employee's taking it in the back and holding on to it and seeing if the value goes up, and if it does, then he'll buy it.
Yep. And if it doesn't, they put it back out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, look, in Northern Nomad is a good way to deter scalpers. All right, and then these are this is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That'll
Pretty
be
cool.
available
I'm not,
online.
you know, if I was all in on these, superpowers, I could see them being collectible. But I'm not a big DC superpowers fan, but I get it.
Here's the thing: if this is actually a convention exclusive, it would be kind of cool to pick up.
Well, it is for those 4 days.
Yeah,
and then after those 4 days, it won't be an convention exclusive anymore.
Yeah,
Wait,
it'll
exclusive.
It'll just be available at Ross next year
or GameStop Canada.
Yeah. All right. So this is another one of those straight out of the comic book diorama things.
Yeah, McFarlane had a couple new ones this week, with this being one of them. Another one, was it like Brown Suit Wolverine, I believe?
Yeah.
But yeah, so far these are, I think 3 out of the 4 are based on Todd McFarlane drawings, and then Captain America is not Todd McFarlane. So he has promised that other artists will be used, but so far 3 out of 4 has been all Toddy Mac art, right?
Right.
Spider-Man one looks the best
so far.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Hulk, because there's a couple of great Hulk artists I hope he chooses from. One of them being Dale Keown, Canada's own. I want to see his.
Yeah,
Hulk
but Todd also did a run. Todd also did his own run in Hulk, so
Todd did some fantastic Hulk stuff too. But
yeah,
I think his Hulk is influenced on Dale Keown. Like, I don't think it's the other way around. But
gotcha.
Everyone has good interpretations of Hulk.
So like Gap, he says Iron Man's not his thing, but I do like Iron Man. But the problem that I have with this one is I feel like it looks too metallic.
Too metallic? Yeah.
I don't think Iron Man can look too metallic. He needs
because I think in the comic books, the way I always see Iron Man is like he used that like
yellow
iron,
yellow
whatever,
and red, yeah.
And I think it's not shiny in my mind, right? Like whenever I see it in the comics, I don't feel it being like shiny armor. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, like not chromed.
Commenting on Mr. B's latest comment, anyone notice Walmart not carrying G.I. Joe in store anymore? Walmarts in Canada have never carried G.I. Joe classified.
So the guy in my Walmart said that they're going to do a revamp of their toy department that's coming up in the next few months or whatever, and he thinks that they're going to re-add the G.I. Joes.
All I've seen at Walmart lately are the carded ones that are the vintage style.
Yeah, because they were Walmart exclusive.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
So
yeah, but now they're everywhere, so they're not doing that. These are 6-inch, right? Or the 7-inch NECAs?
Yeah, they're 7-inch NECAs, and I believe they're just repacks of ones they did like 10 years ago.
Probably, because they don't look any different. The articulation doesn't look any better.
No, yeah, the articulation is really bad.
Yeah. And then I think I just showed the
packaging. But the packaging's new, I think.
Yeah.
So
you can see in the packaging that the arm, like the way this guy in the striped suit, I feel like his arm is permanently in a bent position, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. What figure does that? Like,
they had those Austin Powers figures that were.
Lobot is kind of disco legged. There's a couple of figures that are weird that way.
Yeah, Austin Powers line was like they were all in some sort of a standing pose where they turned at the waist and their arm moved, but there was no point because you couldn't bend their legs or whatever, and they were in some awkward.
It's so silly because, like, I don't know, but hasn't NECA made a better articulated Beetlejuice over their 20-year experience? They've made every other.
I don't think so.
Horror creature character,
but you could get these and do a head swap with a fully articulated like action figure, and if you find a dude in like a white suit, you can just put the pinstripings on him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, one of those other companies makes 3.75 or 4-inch Beetlejuice ones that look pretty good over recently.
So this is I'm
Interesting.
trying to understand this thing. Is this is not a Comic-Con exclusive, right? This is just going to be limited availability at Comic-Con.
That's right, because I believe it is just a repaint, maybe with a new part or
it's
two?
like a repaint. So it's like they're going to have some available, but then it's going to be widely available later.
Of which is I'm okay with that. Like,
I am too.
You're a business, and your number one priority of this business is to earn income.
It looks cool. I like it, Mikey's
It
Pizza.
does, I like it. I'm not a Ninja Turtle guy, but I love the logo.
I love the paint job on it. It looks good.
The pizza colors on the pizza box, but it's actually a manhole. Like,
Yeah.
the rims. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, that looks good. I think I'm gonna.
Okay, I gotta head out. I'm off to the football game.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
bye, Rick.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
So I think I will probably want to pick this up if I get an opportunity, because they are going to do a pop-up for the Mikey's Pizza at Comic-Con.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look, you can get pizza?
I think so. It's going to pizza place, and then they're going to have like the Super 7 Ninja Turtle stuff there, from what I understand. But it'll probably have a super long line, and then I'll probably just give up. Unless I can convince them to let me in the back door.
Yeah, right.
All right. These are glow-in-the-dark Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, and they're from the cover of the D&D handbook that they had back then in the Monster Manual.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it.
And I've been seeing the Optimus Prime Target truck in store lately.
Really? That's pretty cool.
It's a Target semi truck with the
that
cab in the trailer, and it transforms into Optimus Prime. But I don't think they call it Optimus. I think he's like Targetus Prime or something like that.
Right.
It's some, yeah.
All right.
But
So
I'm waiting for it to get marked down because no one's buying them. They're all just sitting there.
Did you watch the trailer for Captain America: Brave New World?
No, I didn't even know it was out.
Okay, so the trailer came out. Just to give everybody a heads up, I have to put this up because of this. That's right.
Oh, Red Hulk.
The post-credit scene on the trailer.
So you think that's after the credits?
It is. So like when they show the trailer, they go Brave New World, February 2025, and then it kind of starts to black out. Then you hear growling, and then you get this scene.
Gotcha.
So if you just see the title and then see the date, and you go, oh, okay, it's over, and click, you don't get to see the Red Hulk.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
and now this is Harrison Ford, right?
Apparently, well, it's CG because Harrison Ford didn't go to the gym and work out, but yeah, Harrison Ford is apparently
he's playing Ross now, right?
Yeah, and they made a joke about the mustache and stuff like that in the trailer, like oh, you look different or something like that.
Oh, I got a box.
Yeah, I have the Red Hulk statue. Yeah, I love the Hulk. So, right.
Yeah, so this is Tham as Captain America, right?
Right.
Falcon cap, basically.
Yeah.
Is Bucky in it too, or do we not know
yet? I
yet?
didn't see him in the trailer,
so we don't know yet. Is what you're saying?
Right. But he does have his fellow Hawk or Falcon dude, because there's a scene where you actually see both of them in the air.
The actual bird.
Yeah, you see a Falcon cap, and you see the Falcon flying together.
Oh, so he's got another sidekick being the Falcon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the military guy that was helping him fix the wing.
Yeah, the other dude.
That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. In the MCU, they didn't give him an actual Hawk. They gave him that drone, didn't they? That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red Wing or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't an actual Hawk named Red Wing. It was a drone. Yeah, that's right.
All right, and I guess that's it then. I think we covered.
Yeah, we're the last ones, Vern. I guess we'll see you later.
All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back next week on the Toy Duo team. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Stay awesome, everybody.
Toys, manly toys. toys.